Hey guys, I'm just at work and I'm just going to kind of debrief on what's going on here. So if you weren't familiar, this CPM154 ended up being A2, more or less confirmed with Bark River and with DLT trading and all that sort of stuff. Shouldn't have rusted. I did a rust test and it rusted. You can check my previous videos for the whole nitty gritty. I'm going to look at this whole experience from the good, the great, the bad and the ugly, like my buddy Nick would, and try and make some sense of it and just try and end this whole thing on a positive note, because I think that's what this knife world needs a bit more of sometimes. So yeah, I'll start with the ugly first. We'll get that out of the way. So the ugly is obviously you order this in a certain steel and you want it to be that steel, and that didn't happen here. So an error, somehow some A2 got this stamped on it. I assume it would normally just say A2 underneath. It says CPM154 instead. So DLT seller does CPM154, which is fair, and then it ends up in my hand, and I do rust test on it, and it's not. Yeah, so that's no good. You want the steel that it says it's going to be on the box, especially if you're not like me and just a knife geek who just likes collecting knives and steels. If you're actually relying on this to be stainless, then yeah, you might have actually been put out a fair bit more than I was. With me, I just wanted a data point on CPM154, which I guess now I can just change to an A2 data point because it did do the cut test 191 times. But anyway, so yeah, I don't think anyone would deny that that's not the ideal thing and that you do want the steels to be what they say they are. So yeah, definitely the ugly category is that, for sure. I'm going to go into the bad. So the bad was the general knife drama. I'm not a big fan of it. I like to do my tests, obviously, and I'm completely prepared that sometimes the tests are going to cause, like, people to say, hey, you're just anti-ZT, you don't want the knives to be, good at edge retention, you're doing a test wrong, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, I'm going to get that sometimes, and that's totally fine. It's just, it's never pleasant. So it's always in the bad when people are a bit like, when it makes people hit the dislike button, and that didn't really happen this time, but there was a lot of conjecture in the comments and all that sort of stuff, and lots of people really, to be honest, I don't really know all this other background stuff. It's all kind of seems to be on the forums and whatnot. But yeah, lots of that being brought up, and I was just a bit overwhelmed by it, and I just don't find that particularly enjoyable. You're absolutely free to say whatever you want to say. It's completely fine. But yeah, just from my personal standpoint, it kind of stresses me out a little bit. Because then everyone's saying, oh, you've got to get onto them and get them to give you your money back. They suck. And I'm like, yeah, just, all a bit cringy to me. And that's just my own personality. I'm here for fun. I'm here to share information, of course. And I think I have obviously shared information, but I do prefer to look at things from what I know myself and for what I've experienced myself. It has to be pretty compelling anecdotal cases for me to form opinions based on what other people say. That's why I go to the length of doing my own edge testing, because I don't find it enough when people just say, oh yeah, S30V is better than, this other steel, because I like to know myself. So anyway, that's what I've done here. I've known myself that this particular knife was labelled wrong, but as for everything else, I sort of stop there. Just use me as a data point, but don't expect me to particularly become an ambassador for or against anything. So that's just the bad. Just that whole line of thought, not particularly enjoyable. Getting into the good. So good. We all like these parts. The backyard science is good. I solved a thing, I showed a thing, I proved a thing with a test that you can all do at your own houses as well. So if you've got a bunch of knives, you can see how rust resistant they all are by getting 5 grams of salt, putting it in 100 mils of water. You got strong salt water solution, a bit seawaterish, a bit stronger, but still. And you'll be able to tell for yourself which knives are stainless and which knives are not. As you can see, all polishes off pretty well, just a few marks here and there that a little bit tricky to get off. It doesn't ruin your knives like crazy. It will if you're not careful, but I'm careful, so just be careful and you can do at least test yourself. So good is a win for backyard science. Another good, really, we can look at silver linings here. So I'm not left with 1055 here, I'm left with A2, which is an excellent steel. It cut 191 times with this knife with the workshop edge in my testing, so it's obviously got a good hard heat treat, and that's nothing to sneer at. If the steel you're left with at the end of the day is A2, you could be doing a lot worse. If it was 1055, 8CR13 MOV, absolutely, that would be more of an issue to me. I know it's not rust resistant and that is an issue to some. And of course being mislabeled is an issue, but it's not a particularly less valuable steel, I don't think either. It's an older steel, I know, but you know, A2 knives from LT Wright sell for about as much as RWL34 or CPM154 knives from a lot of other folks. I don't think the differences there are crazy. So, you know what, you're left with A2. Things could definitely be worse. This is a good steel still, and it cuts very well, and they've got a good treatment on it, absolutely. And let's look at the grate. So the grate was all of you guys in the comments kind of getting amongst it, and you know, the article got shared, or the story got shared around, and because of that, I got the next couple of good things as well, which was some really good responses from DLT Trade, who I bought this knife from, and from Bark River themselves. So DLT got straight onto me and said, "We're sending you a new one," and I said, "No, okay, that's nice of you if you're sure." And so I said, "Well, just send me the most basic one, as long as you know I'm going to do the same tests again, and I'm going to give it away. So if you're okay with that, then absolutely." And they are. So they're sending me one that, and I'll go into that after the next part. And then Bark River contacted me. Mike from Bark River contacted me and said, "Yep, that looks like it's A2. We deal with a lot of A2, and sometimes shit happens and it gets mislabeled. Obviously, it's being fixed. So him and DLT, I think, work quite closely together. They're sending me a new one out. So you count that as a good warranty result, like a good goal for warranty." And he was completely nice and completely, because I was kind of dreading like having an awkward. Because I'm just a bit like, I just did my test, and that's, so you never know how they're going to react. And he was completely fine, completely just nice, and like talked knife stuff like completely fine and normally. Like, no, and I know people are like, oh, and to be honest, even if you're being all aggro and angry about it, I'm not the type to publish emails and nothing like that. He was just completely nice and normal, so just fine. And so that alleviated a lot of the stress from the bad, because DLT and Bark River and all of you guys were just really nice. And yeah, some of you like talk about the stuff that you've read and seen, but it wasn't too bad in the end, so it was good. So that was great from really everyone involved. You move past this stuff, it's really not the end of the world. And yeah, so let's try and end this on a really good note. I'm going to give away the knife that gets here from DLT. So what's going to happen is I'll do just the rust test on the CPM154. I won't do an edge test because it's going straight to a new YouTube reviewer, so someone with a smaller YouTube channel, to do a proper well-done review of the Bark River CPM154 JX6. So it's going to go to someone who has like a smaller channel, and there's a few of you that I've got in mind, but I'll probably just pick one out, or I'll ask for submissions or votes or something. I'll figure it out, and someone will be able to review and keep a really nice new CPM154 JX6. And so let's let something good come out of all this, because I just think it was just a fuck up, and fuck ups happen. If you know what, if 1% of these knives are mislabeled, like, geez, so this means 99% of them aren't. Like, I don't know, the way I look at it, if our government was 99% competent, we'd be living in a utopia. You know, it swings and roundabouts, guys. That's kind of how I see it. And I'm just not particularly, I'll always share the results of my stuff, but I'm never going to be particularly an ambassador for or against a certain, whole worldview on someone. So just take it for what it was. Mine had this issue, but yours may not. In fact, it probably won't. I'm sure if it was a major widespread issue, there'd be more videos like mine out there. So anyway, there'll be a review on this knife from me coming soon. But yeah, just be good to each other. Try not to instantly see the bad in everything. And if you do, just try and, as Nick would say, make sure you see the great and the good as well. Alright, thanks guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.